Hi, again. So, I realized after doing my last video that there was still a lot I wanted to share and reflect on from last year, 2017. Burning Man, I'm still very passionate about Burning Man. It's still very important to me, a big thing in my life, but it's not the only thing that happens or I think worth sharing. And even though this notion of sharing my thoughts and feelings very publicly is still sort of new to me and a little intimidating, I like it. I want to utilize it more. So, if you're interested, I'm just going to share some things that happened to me this year and my thoughts on them, and maybe we can have some fun with it. Okay, here we go. I traveled more in 2017 than I have any other year of my entire life. And that actually means a lot since I take quite a few road trips, an annual one for the last 10 years, and I've worked for event-based companies my entire career. And we had events all over this year for my full-time job. We were in Pittsburgh twice, Philadelphia twice, LA, Hollywood, California, Lincoln, California, Punta Cana, the Dominican. We had two events. I actually drove the production truck to. I went from Fargo down to Fort Worth, Texas, up to Oklahoma, through St. Louis and Syracuse, and then to Montreal, Quebec. This was a very long drive in a giant truck that I had never driven before. And then back to Fargo. And then I took a bunch of opportunities wherever we went to sort of hop. So maybe go early in a different city and then see some people. So I went to New York twice, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Vegas. We also took our annual trip to Burning Man. Stopped in Vegas, Los Angeles again, up to Nevada, and then back through Utah, Salt Lake, and I really enjoyed all of it. I got to go so many places and explore, and it was amazing. It was absolutely wonderful. I worked more than I ever have before, any other year previously. We had more events packed this year for my full-time job with Poker Night than any other year. I worked the full DPW season for Burning Man. That's 6 weeks through August and September. It's easily as important to me as my full-time job is, if not more. I don't think I would be as happy and motivated about so many things in my life without it. And it really is challenging and different every year. So I keep going back, and I really look forward to it. And I don't expect that to change anytime soon. I did an insane amount of freelancing. I made 10 websites, more than I have any other year. Some were big, some were small. More than a few took well over a few hundred hours. I've gotten better at it, and the whole process of contracts and committees and plugins, and I'm always learning something. So I got asked to do one website in particular for an artist I'd never heard of. They're a writer. They've written about 5 books. It's a mixture of fiction and spiritual philosophy. They're a painter. They've done some incredible visionary art, physical and digital. They're also a musician. They've composed about 10 albums worth of work. So it's all in a specific genre called spiritual realism, and they're all connected. It's called Transmedia, when you connect separate or independent mediums together to tell a cohesive story. It's the exact form of art I study extensively and aspire to. And it's extremely hard to pull off. The amount of talent and foresight required to combine all of them together coherently is exponential, depending on how complex the story you're trying to tell is. So they've done this. They've been doing this for years. And I don't think they realize how strange and perfect it felt for me to be asked to do it and how excited I have been to be a part of it. It's seriously amazing. We're almost done with the site that we're working on, but the other person that's helping me with it has been pretty busy, and we haven't been able to launch anything yet. I can't wait to share it with other people and just to see what they do next. I made an app. So reintroduced me to a card game when I was in New York in November called Expedition. So it's kind of a card-based role-playing game, and I was very taken with it, and I immediately spent 5 weeks converting it into a digital format. Then I published it on the Play Store. It's free, and it's awesome. I learned a lot about the type of software that I've been using to create it, and I'm really excited to keep experimenting with it. I went to my first Star Trek convention. Christina and I met a couple friends in Vegas for Creation Entertainment's official Star Trek convention. So it was the 25th anniversary of The Next Generation, so most of the cast was actually there. But they also had people from the original series and other series, and it's just kind of a big orgy of nerds and Star Trek fans. They also had some set pieces and props from the new Discovery show, which sucks, and a few other sets from The Next Generation and all the other shows that were awesome. The panels were fantastic. It's so fascinating and interesting to hear their take on it so many years after the fact and what they're all doing now and have done since then.
It's like having cooked a really nice meal that people are still talking about. And then they say, well, tell us about that meal. And you go, well, it was a flank steak. And then, no. About when you went to shop for the food. Well, okay. I mean, I went and I got potatoes. No. Remember, you picked each potato up and you looked at it like this.
Everything is larger than life when people remember it.
Okay.
And we got to meet LeVar Burton, very, very briefly. But he was really nice in person. I built a computer from start to finish for the first time ever. I spent a couple months researching the parts, guides, and getting feedback before finally pulling the trigger on a bunch of crazy expensive equipment and putting it together. It was very challenging, but extremely satisfying, and has improved my work and play immensely. I would say it's much easier than people think, and I'm definitely looking for any excuse I can find to do it again. Building in that same vein, I tried VR for the first time. So I went to a VR arcade in Los Angeles and then one in Montreal just to test out the equipment and see if the games and everything was where I wanted it to be at to actually invest into it. And it was amazing. So I've been using the hell out of it. I've give demos all the time. I've experimented with making my own environments and having meetups and VR chat. If you're nearby and you haven't tried it, definitely get a hold of me and fucking come over here. So speaking of games, so I play a lot of games. I played a lot of them this year, especially this year, now that I have a computer that can actually handle all of the ones that I want to play. I also had the incredible opportunity to tour Riot Games campus in Los Angeles. So I was reconnecting with my former stepbrother in LA, and he was kind enough to show me around where he works at Riot Games. They make League of Legends. It's one of the biggest video games in the world. There's about 25 million daily players. I don't actually play LoL, but I've played MOBAs since their inception, and I was just thrilled to get a tiny glimpse of how it all, what happens there and what it's like working there. So thank you, Dave. That was awesome. I consumed a lot of media, so even apart from games. It was the second year in a row I recorded everything I read and watched. I like to keep track of everything to help me reflect and just kind of try to remember what impacted me the most, maybe what I might go back to, and just to measure how much time I actually spend taking in things. I watched 62 movies, about 17 individual seasons worth of TV. I feel like I take in more than I technically should, however that should is established. But I actually watched slightly less than I did last year. So I read 8 books, not a lot, especially considering I got 20 for the holidays last year, and I haven't even gone through half of those. But the books I did read impacted me immensely, more than books have for decades, really. I do try to keep track of it and continually evaluate how it's affecting my life in general, overall. And there were some amazing movies and television this year that I really enjoyed. All right, I'm almost done. Looking back on it, I think this year was actually pretty overwhelming and stressful for me. But I did manage to stay on top of it, and I had a lot of help from some fantastic people and all the work I was doing to overcome a lot of the challenges and things that presented themselves. That is most of what happened. Thank you for watching. And again, I've never really shared things this way before. Let me know if you enjoyed it, if you want some more weirdness. And thank you to everyone who made it so memorable and continues to put up with all my shit. Love you all. Keep shining. Here's to making this year